My girlfriend said, "Let's open the relationship." I didn't argue or beg. I listened, stayed quiet, and planned my exit. While she lined up someone new, I prepared the truth, packed my life, and walked away before she realized I was already gone. She said it casually, like she was asking what I wanted for dinner. "Maybe we should open the relationship." I remember blinking. Once. Twice. Trying to understand how those words had just landed between us like a live wire. The room felt smaller after that. Not tense, not loud, just hollow. That was the night I realized love doesn't always end with a fight. Sometimes it ends with a suggestion. We'd been together for almost 4 years, long enough to have inside jokes no one else understood, long enough to argue about laundry, not loyalty, long enough that I thought we were past the phase where people start looking over fences. Her name was Maya. She was the kind of person everyone liked immediately. Warm smile, easy laugh, always just being honest. That last part used to be my favorite thing about her. We were sitting on the couch when she said it. Netflix paused, her legs tucked under her, phone face down on the coffee table. "I've just been thinking," she said. "A lot." That sentence should have warned me. I asked what she meant. She took a breath like she'd rehearsed it. "I love you. I really do. But I feel like we're stagnant, and I don't want resentment to grow." Stagnant, like we were milk past the expiration date. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just asked the question that mattered. "Is there someone else?" She hesitated. "Just a second." But I saw it. "No," she said quickly. "Not like that. Not like that." Those words stuck to my ribs. She explained it like a TED Talk. How monogamy is a social construct. How opening things up could bring us closer. How rules and communication would make it safe. She even smiled at one point, like she was offering me a gift. Inside, something was already pulling away. I told her I needed time to think. She nodded, relieved, too relieved. That night, she fell asleep, curled against me like nothing had changed. I stared at the ceiling, counting the seconds between her breaths. This didn't come from nowhere, I thought. People don't ask this unless they've already imagined saying yes. The next few weeks were strange. She was lighter, happier, started dressing up more, staying out later. Always had a reason. Work drinks. Yoga ran late. Just clearing my head, and every time, she'd kiss my cheek and ask, "You're okay, right?" I always said yes, but I started noticing things. Her phone never left her hand, notifications silenced, screen tilted away from me. One night, I reached for it absent-mindedly to check the time. She flinched. "Sorry," she said too fast. "It's just my friends going through stuff." I handed it back. My stomach didn't settle. A week later, she brought up the conversation again. "So, have you thought about it?" I asked what opening the relationship would actually look like. She leaned forward, animated. "Just honesty. We'd tell each other everything. No secrets." I almost laughed. "Would you already have someone in mind?" I asked. She shook her head. "No. I mean, maybe just curiosity. That's all. Curiosity with a schedule. Curiosity with a password lock." I told her I wasn't comfortable, that I believed in choosing one person and building something solid. She looked disappointed. Not hurt. Disappointed. "I just don't want to feel trapped," she said. That word landed harder than anything else. Trapped. I realized then that she wasn't asking for permission. She was asking for forgiveness in advance. The truth didn't hit me all at once. It arrived in pieces. A name I hadn't heard before. Evan from work. She mentioned him casually. Too casually. "Evan says that too. Evan recommended this place." "Oh, Evan's into that." One night, she laughed at her phone for a full minute straight. I asked what was funny. "Just memes," she said, locking the screen. I stopped asking questions after that, started observing instead. I noticed how she'd shower the moment she got home, how she'd wear perfume on days she didn't see me much, how she'd suddenly care a lot about privacy. "You're not paranoid," I told myself. "You're paying attention." The confirmation came on a Tuesday. She'd left her laptop open on the kitchen table. Email up, notifications popping. I wasn't snooping. I was grabbing water. Then I saw it. A calendar invite. Dinner. Evan. My chest went cold. I clicked. Just once. There were others. Drinks. Late meetings. A weekend conference. All color-coded. All neatly planned. I sat down slowly. When she came home, I didn't confront her. I watched her kick off her shoes. Act normal. She asked about my day. I answered like a stranger. That night, lying beside her, I made a decision. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to compete. And I wasn't going to wait around to be replaced with my consent. If she wanted openness, I'd give her exactly that. Just not the way she expected. The next morning, I started my exit plan. Quietly, Methodically, I checked our lease, put a seed money, backed up my files. I smiled when she talked about our future, nodded when she said things would work themselves out. Inside, I was already leaving. You don't open a relationship when you're already halfway out the door, I thought. You just open the door, and I was done standing in the doorway. 3 days later, she asked me something that almost made me choke on my coffee. Would you be open to meeting other people too? She said it gently, carefully, like she was doing me a favor. I looked up from my mug and studied her face, the hopeful tilt of her head, the way her fingers fidgeted like she already knew the answer she wanted. Why? I asked. She shrugged. It wouldn't be fair if only I explored. Explored, like she was backpacking through Europe. I nodded slowly. Yeah, maybe. Her eyes lit up, just for a second, and there it was, not relief. Permission. That was the moment I knew this wasn't about growth or honesty. It was about easing her conscience. I didn't meet anyone else, not because I couldn't, because I didn't want to. Instead, I watched. I watched how she suddenly stopped checking in, how her phone buzzed during dinner, and she wouldn't even try to hide her smile. How she started saying things like, "You're being quiet lately." Funny how silence only matters when it's inconvenient. One night, she came home late, later than usual. She smelled like cologne that wasn't mine. I asked how her night was. Fun, she said. Too quick. Then added, just friends. I didn't respond. She waited, then got defensive. You said you were okay with this. I looked at her and realized something terrifying. She truly believed that asking meant she was innocent. The first real confrontation happened a week later. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, legs crossed, arms folded, prepared. I feel like you're pulling away, she said. I almost laughed again. Almost. I am, I replied. Her eyebrows knit together. Why? Because you already left, I wanted to say. Because I'm sharing a bed with someone who's auditioning my replacement. Instead, I said, I don't recognize us anymore. She sighed. Relationships evolve. No, I said quietly. They either grow together or apart. She didn't like that. You're being dramatic, she snapped. I'm trying to be honest. Honest. That word again. I asked her if she'd slept with Evan. She froze, just long enough. No, she said. Not yet. Not yet. I nodded, stood up, and walked into the bedroom. She followed me, voice rising. Why are you acting like I cheated? We talked about this. I turned to face her. We talked about an idea, I said. You made it a reality before I agreed. She stared at me like I'd spoken another language. That's when I realized she'd rewritten the story in her head. In her version, I was the obstacle, the one holding her back. A few nights later, I overheard her on the phone. I wasn't trying to. The bathroom door was half open. I feel bad sometimes, she whispered. But he said yes. I gave him the option. There was a pause, then laughter. Something in my chest cracked clean in half. So this is how it's framed, I thought. Consent through exhaustion. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my reflection in the dark window. I looked smaller, quieter, like I'd been edited out of my own life. The next morning, I booked an appointment with a therapist, not to save the relationship, to save myself. She asked me one question that changed everything. What do you want? I opened my mouth and nothing came out. I'd been so busy reacting that I'd forgotten how to choose. On the walk home, I made a list in my head. Things I needed, things I deserved. Respect, safety, reciprocity. None of those existed anymore. Maya noticed the shift before I said anything. You seem different, she said one evening. Yeah, I replied. I am. She smiled nervously. Different how? I met her eyes. Held them, less afraid. Her smile faded. She started trying again after that. Cooking my favorite meals, suggesting date nights, touching my arm like she used to. It felt rehearsed. Transactional. One night, she curled up next to me and said, I don't want to lose you. I almost believed her. But wanting and choosing aren't the same thing. The breaking point came on a Friday. She told me she was staying over at a friend's place. Didn't say which one. I didn't ask. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Hey, this is awkward, but I think you should know the truth. My heart stopped. Then the next text came through. A screenshot. Maya. Evan. A hotel confirmation. Dated 2 months ago, before she ever asked to open anything. I sat there, numb. Then I felt it. Not rage, not sadness. Clarity. When she came home the next morning, I was already packed. She dropped her bag when she saw the boxes. What's going on? She asked, panic creeping in. I handed her my phone. She didn't deny it. She just whispered, I was going to tell you. I nodded. Eventually, she cried, said she was confused, said she loved me. I listened quietly. Then I said the only thing left to say. You didn't open the relationship, I told her. You opened your exit. I'm just walking through it. She collapsed into sobs as I carried my last box to the door. I didn't look back. I moved into a furnished sublet across town. Small, quiet, temporary. The first night there, I slept on the floor because the bed frame hadn't arrived yet. My back hurt. My head didn't. That felt important. Maya didn't stop texting. At first, it was panic. Please talk to me. I made a mistake. You're blowing this up. Then it turned sentimental. Do you remember our first road trip? I found your old hoodie. I never meant to hurt you. Finally, it turned sharp. I thought you were more evolved than this. People grow. You ran. I didn't respond to any of it. Silence wasn't punishment. It was protection. A week later, I ran into Evan. I didn't plan to. Fate has a sense of humor like that. I was grabbing coffee near my new place when I heard my name. He stood there, awkward smile, hands in his pockets. Taller than I expected. Normal. Almost boring. Hey man, he said. I didn't know you lived around here. I nodded. I don't. Not really. He shifted his weight. Look, I didn't know she was still with you. Not at first. I studied his face, searching for guilt. What about later? I asked. He swallowed. She said you were okay with it. There it was again. That lie, she wrapped around herself to sleep at night. I wasn't, I said calmly. But that's not on you. He looked relieved. That bothered me more than it should have. We stood there in silence until he finally said, She's not doing great. I took my coffee and met his eyes. Neither am I said. But only one of us earned it. I walked away before he could respond. Therapy became a weekly ritual. Not dramatic breakthroughs, just quiet unlearning. I learned how often I'd minimize myself to keep peace. How I'd confused patience with self-respect. How saying I'm okay had become muscle memory. One session, my therapist asked, Do you miss her? I thought about it. I miss who I thought she was, I said, and who I thought I was with her. That answer sat heavy in the room. 2 months passed. My life got keyeder, then fuller. I cooked again, went to the gym, reconnected with friends I'd slowly drifted from. One night, over beers, a friend asked, Would you ever do open relationships again? I didn't hesitate. No, I said. Not like that. Like what? Like a bandage over betrayal. They nodded. No one argued. Maya reached out one last time. An email. Long. Thoughtful. Carefully worded. She apologized. Not just for cheating, but for reframing it as growth. She said she'd started therapy too. Said she understood now why I left. I hope one day you can forgive me, she wrote. Even if we never speak again. I read it twice. Then I archived it. Forgiveness didn't mean access. 6 months after I left, I ran into her again. This time, I was ready. She looked different. Quieter. Less polished. We stood on opposite sides of the grocery aisle, cereal boxes between us. Hi, she said. Hi. She smiled sadly. You look good. So do you. A pause. I really did love you, she said. I believed her, and for the first time, that didn't change anything. I know, I replied. But love isn't the same as choosing someone. Her eyes filled. She nodded. We said goodbye without touching. That felt like closure. That night, I sat alone on my balcony, city lights flickering below. I thought about the version of me who'd heard that first sentence on the couch. Maybe we should open the relationship. I wanted to reach back through time and say something simple. You're allowed to leave when the rules change without your consent. I didn't lose her that day. I lost the illusion that love requires endurance at all costs. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is close a door someone insists on keeping open. The funny thing about walking away is that the noise doesn't stop right away. It echoes. Even after Maya faded from my daily life, her voice lingered in my head. Not the fights, the quiet moments, the way she used to say my name when she was tired, the way she'd reach for my hand without looking. Those were the ghosts that showed up at night. I tried dating again around month 7. Nothing serious. Coffee, walks, conversations that stayed on the surface. I'd sit across from someone new and feel nothing. Not numb, just guarded. One woman laughed and said, You're hard to read. I smiled politely. Good, I thought. After everything, I didn't want to be an open book anymore. I wanted to be a book someone had to earn. There was one night that almost broke my resolve. I'd had a long day. Work was brutal. I came home to an empty apartment and scrolled through my phone without thinking. Her profile popped up. Maya. She'd posted a photo from a rooftop bar. City skyline. Wind in her hair. Evan tagged beside her. My thumb hovered. Just curiosity, I told myself. Just one look. I locked my phone and set it down. That was growth. Small, uncelebrated, but real. Around that time, something unexpected happened. I started feeling angry. Not explosive anger. Delayed anger. It crept in during mundane moments. Folding laundry. Driving. Standing in line. I realized I'd skipped that stage completely. Gone straight from confusion to acceptance. In therapy, I finally said it out loud. "I'm angry that she got to rewrite the story," I said. "She gets to say we grew apart. Like it was mutual." My therapist nodded. "And what's your version?" I thought for a moment. "She wanted a new life without letting go of the old one," I said. "And I paid the emotional cost." Saying it felt like exhaling after holding my breath for months. The anger didn't make me bitter. It made me honest. I stopped romanticizing the relationship. I remembered the little dismissals, the times I'd swallowed discomfort to keep things smooth, how often I'd been the flexible one. I wasn't perfect, but I was present. That mattered. One evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Hey," a voice said softly. "It's Maya." My chest tightened. "I know I shouldn't call," she continued, "but I needed to say something." I closed my eyes. "Okay," I said. "You can say it." There was a long pause. "I see now how unfair I was," she said. "I asked you to adapt to something I'd already decided." I stayed quiet. "I don't expect forgiveness," she added. "I just wanted you to know I own that." For the first time, it didn't feel like damage control. It felt like accountability. "Thank you," I said. I needed to hear that. We hung up without small talk. No promises. No reopening, just truth. After that call, something settled inside me. The story finally felt finished. A year after the breakup, my life looked nothing like it used to. Different routines, différentes priorités, different boundaries. I'd moved again, this time somewhere permanent, a place that felt like mine. One morning, while unpacking an old box, I found a photo of us, early days, smiling. Sunburned. I didn't tear it up. Didn't feel the urge to keep it either. I slipped it back into the box and closed the lid. Some memories don't need to be erased. Just retired. People ask me now what I learned from all of it. I usually keep it simple. When someone asks to change the rules, I say, pay attention to who benefits. And privately, I add something else. Love doesn't require you to betray yourself to prove you're open-minded. The last time I thought about that night on the couch, it didn't hurt. I remembered her words clearly. Maybe we should open the relationship. Back then, it felt like the beginning of the end. Now, I see it for what it was. A warning. And for the first time, I'm grateful I listened. The strange part is how normal everything eventually becomes. Not immediately. Not easily. But quietly. One day, you wake up and realize you didn't think about them first thing in the morning. Another day passes where their name doesn't sting. Then, one afternoon, you catch yourself laughing, really laughing, and you're surprised by it. That's how healing sneaks up on you, unannounced. About 14 months after I left, something shifted again. I wasn't looking for it. That's important. I met her at a friend's birthday dinner. Lena. She sat across from me, debating dessert like it was a moral issue. No performance, no posturing, just present. We talked about books, about family, about stupid things that didn't matter. At one point, she asked, "What's the worst breakup you've ever had?" I didn't dodge it. "I left because I realized I was being asked to disappear slowly," I said. She nodded. No flinch, no follow-up disguised as curiosity. "Yeah," she said simply. "That'll do it." Something in my chest unclenched. We took things slow, painfully slow, by modern standards. No labels. No late-night spirals. No tests disguised as jokes. One night, weeks in, she said, "If you ever stop feeling safe, tell me. I don't want to win at someone else's expense." I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her and thought, this is what alignment feels like. Being with someone new didn't erase the past. It reframed it. I saw how much effort I used to spend justifying discomfort, how I'd mistaken anxiety for passion, how I'd been proud of enduring things that should have been deal breakers. With Lena, there was no performance, no negotiating my worth. If something bothered me, I said it, and it was met with care, not defensiveness. That still felt new. One night, lying in bed, she traced circles on my arm and asked, "Do you regret staying as long as you did with her?" I thought about it, about the couch, the sentence, the exit plan. "No," I said finally, "because now I know exactly what I won't accept again." She smiled. That's expensive knowledge. She wasn't wrong. Every once in a while, Maya still crossed my mind. Not as longing, not as anger, just context. She was the chapter that taught me the difference between compromise and self-erasure, between honesty and preemptive absolution. I didn't wish her harm. I didn't wish her back. I wished her clarity, the same clarity I had to earn the hard way. The last thing I'll say is this. When someone says they want to open the relationship, listen carefully, not just to the words but to the timing. Sometimes it's a conversation. Sometimes it's a confession, wearing better PR. And sometimes it's not an invitation at all. It's a warning flare. She said, "Let's open the relationship." What she really said was, "I've already chosen something else, so I did the only thing left. I chose myself."